Welcome to the Neutral Zone. It's 20th of July, 2026. That's only 26 years after the year 2000. I'm only telling you that because I can't feel the 26 years that just went by.
Blink.
And I'm now 75. And I've watched Maui County go through all kinds of stuff for a long time. I've been on the air doing TV and radio thing here locally. Akaku is on its own line. We're all on our own line. Everyone's doing our own thing instead of coming together and working together. We all are a bunch of splinters in our world. Maui Pono Network has really good interviews of their favorite candidates. You should check those out. Bobby Pahia, Carol Kamakona, and James Forrest. 3 candidates that I haven't interviewed. In fact, I thought it was interesting. I spoke to Bobby at the beginning. He said, well, they said I have to be careful who I speak to. I figured they just didn't get
Who
to me.
tells you that?
No, that when he said that, that came from the people that are running and that, well, him at least, right?
Right.
Where people are advising him who you're seen with. Well, you know, this is an interesting time. I'm seen with Scott.
Yes,
R.
sir.
R.
I am here.
What's R for?
Russell.
See that? Bushnell. You
Yes,
knew
sir.
it.
You knew
Scott
that.
is my, I call him my interim host. He's a good friend.
I'm a
who
black sheep
is
in
a
the field.
Has a beautiful, beautiful life on Maui and likes to be teaching people how to swim. AlohaSwimLessons.com.
That's correct.
Is his business. He teaches people that many of them are adults, right?
Most are adults or have special needs. Yeah.
See that? So that's a great thing. So in this beautiful paradise, how have you been doing? How's your health?
Health's been all right. You know, I could walk more, you know.
You know, I threatened to come out and walk with you. I still have a knee that's a little tricky.
Well, we can walk in the water.
Well, let's do that.
We need to do that. I've been kind of in a slump.
Yeah?
You know? Yeah, I don't know why. I've just hit kind of a... Okay.
Well, maybe I could help break that because I need to get out of my slump.
Yeah, I've been in that kind of like...
I've been busy running around doing interviews. Do you know, probably since you guys know, and if you don't, now you know. I could have been interviewing all kinds of people, but when you interview candidates, there's this equal time thing, and I watch the media, and I'm always like, so who are some of these candidates we don't know? You know, Paul Delorier and Maui Pono Network tries to do interviews of everyone, and some people do, some don't. But they're respected. They've got, you know, people that know what's going on, like Lucianne and Rita Ryan and Ann Picate, and I go on. And they're very dry. My interviews let you know if you sit down with someone who they are.
Yeah, you need to spark them up a bit.
And see who they are. What do they want to contribute? So I don't have questions like, you know, the water on the 4th thing needs to be thing. That's not fair.
No.
They ask questions that are sincere and very pointed.
Right.
That we need to ask.
They need to be asked.
And I don't like to do that. My neutral zone is more like, if you want to put your foot in the mouth and say you like Donald Trump, knock yourself out.
Yeah, you know, and that's
if
what
you want to talk about.
Yeah, and that's neither here nor there. But as you just mentioned a moment ago, that some candidates are saying, "Oh, don't talk to Jason." I was like, "What the hell? You're the most neutral person I know. You're a spark." But I have opinions. You do, but you're not. You don't force them on anyone.
And when I've interviewed candidates for mayor, and there is a wide array.
Oh yeah.
Of people, literally fruits and nuts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a beautiful bunch of people that all come with ideas that have.
They have all these platforms.
They don't run for mayor on a lark.
No, they have. Each one has a plank on the platform, and they don't really veer off of that, and that's concerning.
What concerns me is that we don't have more young people coming out and getting involved and voting. And they don't also, I don't see any training programs to be in government seats.
Well, they removed those classes out of schools 25 years ago. They removed statesmanship, they removed debate, they removed
You're talking about the
Countless.
county council and the mayor. The
Right.
statesmanship that it takes is knowing what's going on and being involved in the things here. Things are so out of control. How can we have gone it feels like a whole generation where we haven't handled housing on Maui?
That's housing everywhere, Jason.
Is it?
Well, and honestly,
On
I
Maui?
think it's across
ridiculous.
the country. We've been following the Milton's model for economics for about 100 years.
Milton the cracker guy?
Miltonian economics. He was the godfather
Who?
at economics.
What
Freeman
was his
Milton.
name?
Freeman Milton. He was the godfather of economics, Stanford dude. We followed him for 50 years on our economic models. And they've failed. And that's kind of that globalist economic model that kind of put everyone else around us and not took care of our own homes. We're focusing now going back to that Hamilton model. And the Hamiltonian model said we take care of things at home, and at that point, then we go out and we start helping around the planet.
Let
So
me
the
ask
Hamiltonian.
how you go from Milton to Hamilton without having a lot of disruption, because
Well, it's
people have expectation,
Right.
And that expectation is, I don't know. I think it's
There's only one answer. How do you eat an elephant?
that's right. Bite at a time.
One bite at a time. We need to just
That's a
slowly.
rough one, though.
It is.
And
It's a
right
tough
now,
one
with what's
because
going on-
we are. If Jason, right now, if Social Security,
You're talking national, and I just am
I know,
stopping for a
but
second.
the national
'Cause I
affects
started
us.
talking local on purpose, and I know that when I talk about ideas,
Yeah.
you immediately are going to talk about the big one. You just said, and I thought you were going to lead back in to, we have to take care of ourselves before we take care of someone else. I say the same to Maui
Exactly,
County.
and I was
So
going to get there.
So,
I was going to get there.
okay. But the reason I cut it short, I think, is because I'm a big mouth.
Yeah.
But also because I really want to be able to address local things. Cause
Right. And
that's
if we can address those things on that same model, a Hamiltonian model, where we take
You know
care
what
of
that
things at
means?
home right now instead of worrying about the global crap, which might be, we take care of the island first and then we step out from there. The Miltonian model, which we've been following for 50 to 75 years across our great country, has been this fingers everywhere approach and a globalist approach. And what it has done, it has screwed over steel workers, automotive workers, factory workers, and the people who are working to buy their first home. So if Maui addresses these issues from that Hamiltonian perspective, which I believe will take care of our poor, our indigent, and such in a much better way, like one-on-one on islands, like my daughter's doing in Comado, New Mexico, taking care of business at home. We keep getting drifted off on these far-fetched topics. It's one bite at a time, and it's going to take some doing. We confused what happened.
What does that say to me? When I sit with this kind of conversation, I just want to clear the table and say, okay, how does this concept? We have candidates, and these
Right.
candidates are not being shared enough that
Right.
the ideas
Yeah.
that they're carrying around go
Right.
past election. If they happen to overlap,
That's
and a little
good.
bit of twist.
Right.
So that's a really slow method.
It is.
But how is that Hamiltonian? Who's the one to judge of what local things? It's the election. So to me, the Maui Pono Network and their very specific
Yes, they
questions
are.
really good for
They
people that already
give
know
you
about
boxes
things.
to check, and they do that. Like, you've been a candidate, you've gotten from all the big agencies and groups, the Women's Business League and all that, they have a checklist and how you feel on their things. And that's what
They
Pono.
create individual custom questions, and they
that
send them
meet-
out to candidates, and those candidates have to respond. So imagine the sheer, I can tell you from
Yeah,
experience.
I can too. It's
Sheer
massive.
volume of you getting it out, but you're like, who's really seeing this?
They're
And
individual
that's
groups.
what I do when
Right.
I do my interviews are,
Right.
I don't care what you wrote to that person. Is that person going to sit and listen to you?
Yeah.
People might say, Jason, I don't want to work with you because you already have your own ideas about what you want to do and you're really hard to work with.
You're
I've
not
heard
hard
that
to
a
work
lot.
with.
No, but I mean, I've heard that.
Yeah.
By the way, I was bringing all that around to say, I don't know how I was where I was, but
Well, let's lead
we
in.
have
You've got some
a
stuff
really
going
beautiful gift for one of our supporters
on. Oh,
who
nice.
won 2 tickets to. Do you know that at the EAL Theater at the Maui on Stage, they have the second production of the 2026 season, William Shakespeare's long-lost first play,
Oh, wow.
abridged.
Abridged. Yeah.
Christy Scott, who's a wonderful lady,
Yes.
is directing. We have a special bunch of sponsors, I'm sure you know, the Wave of Harmony Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and in partnership with Margie Knowles and Michael Tibbett, sponsor the whole season. I know Russ Taft does the Ono nights. He pays
Yeah.
for that to happen. And this is Friday and Saturday. This next Friday and Saturday are the last 2 evening performances, and Sunday is a matinee this week. Tickets, good range, $10 to $45.
That's
So
a doable range.
there's definitely seats. I went with Ariel last night, and the 1st thing I thought when I got out, and there's more description that I'll read in a second,
Right.
but when I got out, I said, well, I really like Daniel. Daniel was my old, he was a healing practitioner.
Right,
I
right,
know him
right.
For years, and then suddenly I see him in theater. He was terrific, and these 2 other people that were in it were terrific. But if you don't know Shakespeare, you hear all kinds of things, and they show relationships of people that are characters in Shakespeare. So if you know Shakespeare, you're going to see what would happen if, and that's what this really is. It's his first play, but his first play has everything. So
Yeah.
all the ideas and how these people might fit together in a fantasy world, sort of like Disney or...
Oh, yeah. It's
whole
the
kind of
Marvel
way how
universe. It's
it
the
all fits.
Shakespeare universe. It
And
really
it is really well done. I would like to think it's sort of like something where it's so well written, you want to have read the book so you catch all the lines and you see the relationships.
Right, because
and
it's basically the groundwork or the foundation for all his future work. Comes right out of there. Yeah.
Really good. And it was, I appreciated it more after I left, but I appreciated it during the thing.
Nice.
But when I left, it was like...
It's one of those that
Wow.
leaves you thinking, I might have to do that this weekend.
Yeah, so I recommend it. On Sunday, I think it's at 3 p.m.
And
That's the one I
Saturday's
went
got a
at
7?
Theater. You can call the box office, but you can go 808-242-6969 and MauiOnStage.com. William Shakespeare's long-lost first play, abridged. And one of our supporters, I picked it out of a hat today, Gretchen Tabo, and +1. Thank you for all the help that you've given us.
Nice. Congratulations,
And,
Gretchen.
We've got 2 tickets for you to see this William Shakespeare's long-lost first play. I'm going to read this only because there's a splash zone. Ha, ha, ha. Only
Yes,
one
yes.
row. So, you can,
Yeah.
We were
and
sitting
it's
in
not
the
done with a
second row.
hammer and a watermelon. Yeah.
you're going to really say, this was so entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. And like I say, I thought maybe this is a local creation of one of our amazing local
Mm-hmm.
talents that are writing things, but it wasn't. Anyway, I'm on a real run today, mostly because I saw the interviews from Maui Pono Network came
Yeah.
out, and I saw these are people that I didn't interview, and I always think to that, I offer everyone an interview.
Right. You're good with it, too.
And
You
I'm
get
a
a different
different
opinion. You get a
kind
different
of
perspective, Jason. You get character. You get
Yeah.
their character when they interview with you.
I hope so.
I've always taken that away from when I've listened to yours. You're getting more of the candidate's character than a box checking.
Yeah. Because I'm hoping that every character we
not
meet
that's not the cookie
knows-
cutter type of questions.
No, and
No,
it's good to know that people come in ready to hit the ground running with knowledge
Right.
of what's going on.
Exactly.
Trust me, I get that. And you can see that when you'll see the candidates with me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them actually have something to say and contribute.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much from Travis Liggett talking
Yeah.
about water.
Oh, yeah.
Or I learned about the way young people, it's nice to see Amy Pedersen, 25 years old, running for mayor.
Perfect.
So, hey, whether she becomes mayor, excuse me, I don't think so, Amy.
but the
but
experience
incredible-
getting in the ring.
And Ashley in Wailuku, again, she has experience, but there's a guy like James Forrest, who's a public defender, can write laws, knows what's going on. See, there are different people around that have different
Right.
skills.
And it's an unusual mix, but until you've actually gotten in the ring and ran for office like you and I have done,
Yeah.
you really can't appreciate the beating you go through. The vetting process that I went through with the State House, it was incredible. They turned over every rock and looked under behind every tree and every
But
stupid
that was
thing I did in
okay.
college. Yeah, and that's what they're supposed to do.
But
you
you'd
know.
like them to share, I would hope.
Yeah.
The public needs more outlets. Just read our website. We have 3 questions we've asked them, all the candidates.
Yeah.
And, I get really sick. Who are these people? To
What's
me,
their
that's much more
character?
important.
Who are they as people? That's almost
is
as
much more
important as anything.
Well, and how they vote is important.
Mm-hmm.
But when you vote with a group,
Yeah.
and you suddenly have more awareness than you ever had
Yeah.
of all the pieces. And
Yeah, that's why I left pretty much the party system years ago.
do you find corruption around? How do you define that? Do you see it going on around?
let's let my last House race in Oregon. I won every single precinct but one. And that precinct came in 8 days later and had just enough votes to put my opposition candidate 27 votes ahead.
Oh,
And that was in 1996.
so that doesn't necessarily.
No, it does not.
No, but it definitely.
But it's very unusual. Political trends. If you studying political science like I did and statistical political science, trends don't generally vary a lot. They are pretty solid. Polling has gone. That's not even existed anymore. But trends have been. You can pretty much tell what's the next card to be turned. You don't ever see one precinct going like 99% for one candidate who's never gone 99% for one candidate.
I get that. And
Yeah.
now with this new districting
Well, that's been going on
thing.
forever.
Right.
That's
so
not new.
you'll see a lot of that happening now, but I have never seen that either. But
Yeah.
20-something votes means the whole thing was close.
Yeah, it was. All of the precincts I won by like a point and a half. It was a small district. We're talking about 16,000 total votes.
No, I'm just listening
yeah.
and just wondering. I watched Kelly King lose by 92 votes or
Yeah.
something like that here. Again, stories go. There were 7,000 votes not counted.
Yeah,
And that's
can
not
we go-
only for the thing that people get is it's happening. If it's happening,
Yeah,
I would say everywhere about the same. Unless there's
I honestly
a
think so.
conspiracy that's organized.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a big head to the beast, but I think it's just because the system has gotten so big and bloated that we can't even keep track of it. How could we find that we have a lottery winner in Kansas in a small town within 45 minutes of a lottery drawing and not be able to count all the votes around the country in an evening?
No, I have no question.
Yeah,
It
there's
is
something
absurd.
not right here. Can we go back to something fun? You were on the EAL Theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations, Gretchen.
Gretchen.
Tidball, +1.
I love the EAL Theater. I have been in dire need for the Mac to get back their art mix that they do. That is so well attended. And Andrew and I were talking. I said, "When is Art Mix coming back?" That is such a.
You guys remember Art Mix?
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a throwback from Woodstock to
Do you remember
some.
who was producing them? That would be the question.
That is a good question, but
Because
it
if
was.
you find our producer and see if it's a mix with the Mac, and
It was so fun. It was so Maui. It was like Lahaina Front Street on Halloween. It had that, bohemian, just be yourself and be happy.
I went to one way long ago, probably one of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
And I'm an older guy.
Yeah, there was a
I have
lot
a
of old
partner.
folks. Yeah.
But we're not in a moving mood, and big crowds aren't happening. But it was.
Yeah.
I remember that there was all kinds of things that were way outside the ordinary,
And that made it.
and
that
it really
made it.
fun.
Whoever was
It's like
producing
having a
it had.
club.
Yeah.
It was outside and had that whole area.
The
really-
whole feel, the music was eclectic. It went all over the place. I went in there with Andrew, and I'm sitting there. I'm walking in, and I'm like, damn, I feel like I'm in line for a Grateful Dead concert. There's people dressed up as fairies. There's people dressed up as cats. I miss it. I really do. And I don't know the producer that did that.
We want more Art Mix.
We want more art mix.
Well,
We really miss it.
So let me ask a question here. This is unrelated. First Friday in the county.
Yeah.
In Wailuku.
Wailuku.
Remember who put it together? Who was putting the vendors together and putting everything
That
together?
was you, wasn't it?
Yuki Lei.
Yuki Lei. Yeah. Well, she's still doing it.
Well,
Yeah.
No, I don't know if she is. Is she?
Well,
Remember, she's the one running now for mayor. So
Yeah.
some people say, oh, yeah, Yuki, she's fun. And then other people say, oh, yeah, Yuki, she's fun, but she did this and didn't do that and didn't stand here.
You can't.
Those are important things to bring up.
But she started something good.
No, but that's the point.
Yeah.
The point is, in this whole thing that we're talking about elections.
Absolutely.
We want to get to the day after the election and actually be moving in a better direction.
And that's why I think your interviews are important, because you get the character of the person more than I've got my answer written down
so,
there.
too.
And the character is what matters.
And also, that's how we build a future.
Yeah.
Is having a vision, and that vision needs to be more clearly identified.
And especially something like that, where, if you start something like the Wailuku one, there's going to be bumps in the road, Do you remember the in the 80s, the Lahaina and the craziness of kegs of beer on every corner for a nickel? I mean, that got out of control. I mean, Good Morning America was there, MTV was there.
Oh, that's before my time.
Yeah, that was.
It was a really.
Yeah, and Lahaina had this learning curve, okay, and they went, okay. Well, the drinking age was still 18 then, I think. Yeah, so I can't remember when that changed.
Beer for a nickel on the corner.
Yeah. And people they were hosing the streets down because everybody
I was going to say.
Yeah, no.
Including people.
Yeah. So you start something that's to help the community come together. You expect bumps in the roads, and if you're punishing somebody for taking the initiative to do something, come on. I didn't see you get out there and make that happen. So.
Well, are you thinking of any kind of politics, or you really don't?
Me, Jason, right now, I got to tell you what I've been working on. As you know, I work over at the jail. I'm still doing the behavioral stuff for parents
Randy
and children
Conahue?
together. And, I'm doing
Do you know him, by the way?
Who?
He's a candidate in Wailuku. See, there's people.
Oh, see, there you
He's
go.
a pastor from King's
Oh, yeah.
Cathedral,
Oh, yeah.
Randy Conahue.
Yeah. We're not there on the same days. I know who you
No,
so,
but see
yeah.
that? There's another candidate. Do you guys know who that is?
Yeah.
See, it's crazy.
But
I'm just bringing it up.
I follow two curriculums what I do for parents and children, and I've been in the process now for the last probably 2.5 years. Actually, it's been ongoing for decades. I'm writing a new outline for how the correction system should work, where when you come into like a correctional facility and you're an inmate, you're going to have a microcosm of the economy, so that you're not laying on your bunk every day. You have to make your bed, do this, do that, do that, and do that, and check all the boxes for the basic things, and then you get X amount of, let's say, jail dollars. And then if you work up and you have no mix-ups, you get a bonus point. So it's an incentive system within the system.
Has that been done at all that you've seen?
It has not.
Really?
I proposed that system for the juvenile system when we wrote Senate Bill 1, which was the creation of the Oregon Youth Authority, which divided juvenile delinquents from kids who were thrown into the juvenile system because their parents just were not on the kids weren't in there on their own behalf. They were there because of their parents. We divided those populations, which makes sense because at that time, that was the emergence of the gangs. And so we separated kids in the foster system from the kids that are gang-related criminals. And I believe that formation within a correction system would work very, very well. I mean, it's like playing the game of life, but you're in there. You might be in for how long, but if you wanted to get a soda pop and watch a certain movie on the weekends, you actually, so that when you get out. And I taught this for a long time too. It was called short timers for guys that were getting out because, and this is a thing you and I were barely talking on when we first got here, and I go, there are many people in our correctional systems right now who are like, I don't know how to make it on the outside. If I break the law, I know where I'm sleeping, I know where I'm getting food. And it's just like, hey, wait a minute. When we closed a lot of the state institutions for people who are marginally on this, they're sharp people, but they just were right there on the edge. And then One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest came out way back when, well, the book was forever ago. But when Jack Nicholson made that movie famous, he demonized the state-run institutions to help people that were in that middle ground.
That really needed help.
Because he demonized it. Nurse Ratched, she was scary. Yeah, and I did some practicum work in Oregon State Mental Health Hospital. Not pretty, but they've been able to do that a lot better now. I think we need something like that to address people. Is it a
personnel issue? Is it that the people get tired of what they're doing and get an edge? I always wondered about that.
I think, so...
Is that wrong to say?
No, it's not wrong to say. Our educational system used to be based on the... it's not German, the Prussian system, the Prussian education system that was the formation of the school systems, the little chalkboard, whatever. It traveled through our system. I think they tried to impose that on a group of people in the state mental health and mental health institutions. And those folks, God bless them, could never really check those boxes. And so when they didn't fit, they got punished. Instead, create a system where you get rewarded when you do something right. You don't get the reward if you don't do it right, which mimics our society today. And that brings me back to Milton and back to Alexander. So about 1970s,
this was education.
1970s, 1980s. Okay, when we started outsourcing a lot of things to build cars, TVs, whatever. I'm totally guilty of it. I started judging how successful I was in life by what car I drove or what TV I had or what house I lived in, instead of not what I have done for society. Because I live in a decent apartment in Kihei, and I got the same TV as the $4 million house across the street. So we kind of got twisted away from, am I doing well or are my things well? So things got ahead of successful, happy in your job, and then we outsourced our greatest resources, our talents as human beings, as Americans, to build things and create things and innovate. And so we're kind of in a rebirth right now to bringing back some trade skills. Mike Rowe, he does that show Dirty Deeds, Dirty Jobs, whatever. And he really brings it home. He's got a huge foundation that's raising money for kids to go to trade schools, learning how to weld, learning how to wire, learning how to build. What we didn't realize when we started outsourcing all this stuff so that we could have our things more cheaply, so that we could all have them, even though we might not be at the top shelf economically, we also outsourced our talent. Not only did we give up, we traded our fancy phones and computers, and we lost the ability to build them.
Well, I wonder, it's good to hear there's training.
It's a rebirth.
But it's even deeper. All of our systems are set up to make things easier, which is really fun. But there's something said for getting your hands in the dirt, for figuring out a math problem manually, from being able to look at concepts before you turn it over to a tool that makes it super easy.
Jason, back when I was first right out of college, we had been married, I took a job teaching at an alternative level within a high school on the Oregon coast.
Okay.
And when I got there, I was there a month, and I had a few students that would if they blew out of a classroom, they would come to me and we would do the work in the classroom. I created a program in that where the kids would actually go and have like Bob Bester, my old neighbor, he owns a junkyard or trash car lot in Tillamook, Oregon. I would take a couple boys over there. They would take apart cars. Those kids were passing classes for the first time in their life because they had something they could do. Jude Niederhofer, he passed away. He owned a construction company in Tillamook. He had some of those boys coming and learning how to put in windows and stuff. Those kids went from failing in school to going, I have skills and I have value, just because we had a generation back in the late 70s and 80s and early 90s that said everyone's going to sit at a computer. And we gave up a lot of talented people. You learn in 5 different ways. You learn either physically doing something, you learn by listening about it, you learn by reading about it, you learn by doing it, and then there's people that are intuitive, and those are usually the inventors. So when we put everybody in front of a computer, we left out a group of people who aren't college bound, who had incredible skills. 2 of my foster sons could take apart anything and put it back together again and fix it, but yet they would struggle to read. And I was just like, but we always rewarded it because they had, Andreas, I just love this kid. He could just take things apart and he would put them back. He could look at a diagram, bam. We've let multi-generations now for the last probably 30, 40 years. When back to that story, when I started with the LED, SCD and LD kids, they took the wood shop out of the school, they took the steel shop out, and the metal fabricating shops, I know because I bought all their tools. They threw them in a dumpster, and they said, if you want those, they have to cut the cords off them. I took a dumpster load of hand power tools home after that, and all of a sudden, they turned it into a computer lab. Oh, this is the future. We still need people to build stuff, but since we were outsourcing everything
for so long, we got to retrain our people from scratch.
We do, but they've got the they've got the talents.
Ability,
and if they didn't
nurture, where are we going?
A lot of states have come back to it. It's so cool.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope it's enough, and I want to say quick enough.
A small bite, but yeah.
This is a big mountain.
Yeah.
So, isn't that a...
Jim, FaceTime video.
Who is that?
Sis, are you watching the radio? Because you're on the radio. Hey, everybody, there's my sister.
Hey! Welcome.
And I got it fixed.
What? Okay.
I got my FaceTime
FaceTime fixed.
Okay, good. Love you. I'll call you later.
See that? We're a family show.
That's my sister. She usually dials you in on the internet.
Well, that's good to know. And, that is a pleasure to know.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, MauiNeutralZone.com and YouTube,
Yeah.
After a while, you get to know. Just go up to Google or YouTube and put in Jason or Neutral Zone and Maui and Scott Bushnell. We come up.
We do.
We've
a lot.
been doing this a long time, and we have what do they say? You can't get a long time reputation in a short time. We've been doing this stuff a long time.
Yeah. I started doing the call-in talk radio at KTIL in Tillamook. Wow. And Barbara Trout was out. She had one of the call-in folks that did the after evening radio show. And I substituted for her for about a month while she was doing her maternity leave. I had so much fun. Oh, my gosh. We're talking about the Oregon coast back in the 80s and 90s. You'd get one radio station. They would go from heavy metal to Glenn Miller within an hour. And they still have that same kind of format. They just went all over the place. Then they got an FM station, but yeah, I was doing talk radio then. Mildred Davy, who was like the grandmother of KTIL radio on the Oregon coast, she interviewed me when I was 7 years old on the radio, and we talked for the longest time. So, yeah. So
when I'm going to turn this mic over to you here soon.
Well, we're good.
I'm going to do, this is election season, and I'm going to be out in the field, so I'm wondering
you need to get out in the field.
So we're going to have more shows than normal, but not all of them are going to be done in the studio.
I've been noticing those. Those are good.
Well, I went out to Haiku and saw a candidate and a character in this movie named Dunbar, John Dunbar.
John Dunbar, yeah.
Now, when I saw his place, here's another guy. He's smart, but he also, with his own hands, has built an amazing place out there. And the day that he was supposed to do our show last time, he got a thing in the mail that they were closing down his bed and breakfast.
Oh,
he had a long time thing, and they wanted to charge him a fine per day, and then it's all again.
Yeah.
You talk about local. He thinks it's corruption. He thinks it's targeted.
It is.
See? You always wonder about lots of stuff.
And I kind of went outside of my. Speaking of the field, I went to.
But he had a nice place. That was my reason of being in the field. You went to where?
I went to Lahaina Town. Actually, went to Kaanapali, and I sat in on one of those fire meetings from the legal folks, because I have a few people that are within the constraint in MemCCC that are part of that. And I said, I'm just going to go sit and listen. And I did not realize they have yet to approve a building permit for any of the small businesses owners. How is that?
How are they opening Front Street?
Well, they've made a
beautiful.
I've been down there. It's beautiful. They did a nice job, but
there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. And those were some of the questions.
So now is it going to be any different?
Well, you're not. It's going to be more like
no, but I
Kona.
mean, as far as
it'll be like Kona.
What about
it's not going to have
permits. I mean, you just said something that there's been nothing
approved. Everybody's got it sitting there, but nothing's been approved, and it's like.
Well, I don't know why. Do you know why?
I have no idea.
Did they tell you why when you were at these meetings?
They're as baffled as the people that were at the meeting, because they were hoping because
who's in control?
Yeah, someone's in control of that. I don't know.
It's not the mayor?
It's got to be. They kind of had the feeling from the audience that I was listening to was there's a conspiracy to get all those lands. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't have any facts. I don't have. Yeah.
Do they have any kind of any specifics?
Well, they said that the trust is going to be allocating money for those that lost in the fire and such. And it was just like, but I kind of went because I have somebody that it's in a jail group that is like, okay,
right.
Do you know what's going on? I says, no, I read the paper, or I my ear's out there, and I said, I'm going to go listen and see what they're saying. There's a lot of frustrated people. The business owners, I think a lot of them, have just gotten to the point where it's just like, it's not worth it anymore. I'm getting older, whatever. My kids don't want to, it's just like, so somebody's going to be buying that whole mess up. But they're trying to keep that from happening.
A few sales happen already.
Yeah. And you're in that line. You know what those...
No, but what's also interesting is, I see what you're saying. Remember when this started and people said, oh, yes, in 5 to 6 years, it'll all be back. And here we're 3 years out, and they don't have any building permits that have
been approved.
And even if it got rebuilt, is it going to be rebuilt in the next 3-4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? Is that what? Why do people come to Maui?
Right. Lahaina was the Christmas tree in the corner of the room during the holidays. It was that beautiful place where people gathered in a happy, joyous spot.
And it got a lot of revenue streams.
Tons.
So it's more than just the Christmas tree in the corner.
You're right, yeah. But it brought everyone together.
Yeah.
Growing up, that's where you go for a birthday. That's where you go for all those kind of things. Right. Yeah. Kihei's really turned the corner. They upped their game quite a bit.
Although Kihei just does not.
It doesn't have the flavor.
Candle and the flavor.
But there again, Lahaina, the front. When I walked down Front Street along the water, I felt like I was in Kona. The same boardwalk construction, the same. It looked like because Kona used to look a lot like like Lahaina town, and they removed all the post and all the whaling stuff.
You could remember walking down Front Street as you saw the building from building to building. I guess they have to keep a little bit of separation between everything. Everything was packed in, and it was, if nothing else, super interesting.
It was
I remember we used to say the Pioneer Inn was held up because all those roaches were holding hands together. That was a scary thing sometimes at night.
I always...
They're probably still living, those roaches.
I wrote a paper, and it kind of got published online and made it around about my talk about, going down Front Street on a Sunday morning, just before anything opened up. You can you start out at one end, you go by the cookie place, and it's you can smell the cookies, and you get out down there by Dole Pineapple, you can start smelling the cones being made, and then you get down there towards the Monkey and the bars, and you'd start smelling that fraternity floor. The beer that dried on the floor smell, and and the cobblestone. There was cobblestone mixed with pavement, mixed with concrete. It was such a unique blend of an old whaling village and just yeah.
Can't be easily duplicated.
No, I think Disney might have a shot, but other than that,
that's right. It was like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Yeah, it's just like as much as they try to not get that, they keep having to rebuild it. Yeah.
So it's going to be a different experience.
Yeah.
But the lives of all these people that have been waiting and trying to rebuild.
And they're
like
getting...
You say, at some point, and I don't mean to get it, but at some point you get old.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, this should be passing the torch. That's what I'm happy to see when I see young candidates. I question sometimes if they're running and then they get backed by unions and these I call it dark money.
Exactly.
Carpenters Union, you are wonderful. You are wonderful people. Not only am I sure, I know many people in the Carpenters Union.
Yeah.
Wonderful people. But the big money, there's no reason that you choose this candidate over this candidate except your own interests. I get that.
Yeah, and they haven't been through the baptism of fire, so we really don't know who they are, and that's why interviews such as you do are important. That's really a baptism of fire, Jason. If you are not comfortable walking in and being attacked, you just shouldn't
belong. And I don't
belong.
attack them. I give them a chance to throw up the ball and spike it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you're not throwing softballs, but those are the things that's the character. I can't imagine Mayor Bisson in his worst nightmare thinking that I'm going to be mayor. He's a well-known guy. I like him personally. Be thrown into this just hailstorm of conspiracy to everything under the
Everything
sun.
that you've done, you knew more than you are telling us.
Well,
And that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
and
Transparency is a nice thing.
it is,
but you're thrown into that thing. You're absolutely right.
yeah,
Everything that you're thrown in politics, it is difficult. You know, some people say it's difficult to watch things where they knock somebody else. Well, you'd like to know the truth,
yeah,
but in the style that they do it.
yeah,
we're
and some people aren't even malicious. They are so involved with their issue that they've gotten this tunnel vision that this is how we fix things, and they're not be able to. And in my anger management class, when you start getting angry, your vision closes. You get narrowed in. That's just psychological truth. So if you're passionate about an issue, you all of a sudden don't open yourself up to the many opportunities and talented people. It may have other answers. It may possibly work. So we're seeing a lot of that today everywhere. And we have for all times. I mean, if you read some of the old, Ben Franklin papers and stuff that were like printed out on a printing press, they were attacking each other. One person said this, Jefferson said this, Hamiltonian said this. It's not new. It's our system. But yeah, I just, yeah.
So
you look well.
what?
You look well.
I do?
Yeah.
When I look in the mirror, I'm like, who is that?
Oh my God, I had one of those
my
moments.
Skin, I'm looking and thinking, oh my God,
Yeah.
getting old. What is all this stuff?
Yeah.
I am ready to start. I was going to say ready to start enjoying life. That's not true because I enjoy life
Yeah.
almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what do we put up as the mirror to reflect what is a good quality life, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about that,
Right.
It's like life can be beautiful if you focus on beautiful.
Exactly. That's an Einstein quote. If you see what you believe you see. So if you think this person's corrupt, all you're going to see is corruption. If you think the system's corrupt, you're only going to see corruption. If you see the beauty and the intent of somebody who is trying something to make our community better, maybe their ambitions may not be perfect, and you see like, wow, that's really good, they're getting out there after it, that's really cool. Maybe you don't agree, but at least appreciate that they're trying to move the ball forward. As long as we're moving the ball down the field, maybe we're not all in the same bus. Maybe some people's bus doesn't even have a driver and they're just angry because it's sitting going nowhere. But yet you've got a group of people in there screaming at each other about but they're not moving the ball,
Well, and you heard me say it again and again that after the election, whoever wins, it shouldn't be a win and loss. That losing group has so much to offer.
To just get in the
forward
ring and
better,
fight. Yeah.
To make things better. Someone afterward processing. I just want to see. I can't see clearly.
Oh, let me click on mine. Here you go.
Oh, we have 8 minutes, not 3.
Yeah, we got 11:48 here.
Oh, good. See, that's good. This show, when I do things in the field, I find about 20 minutes in, I get a little itch in my leg, and I know got to be aware. I did an hour with Dunbar, and it was 3 20-minute segments. It was all one. I almost thought, my goodness, I'm getting timing in my head. In 8 minutes, do you think you have anything that you would like to be able to share that really is...
I would like to get a crusade. Honestly, if I have to run to office to get a platform to to stand on, I really want us to start terracing off these hillsides to catch water, slow it down, bring it back into the soil instead of letting it run all the way through Kihei and down through Lahaina Town. It's proven environmentally, the best thing we can do is slow the water down. If we can just
Who
put
makes
up,
that decision, and how do they pay for it?
that's a question that I can't see 'em. I thought West Maui Lands might be able to do that on the west side, but there's so many different borders and such. I think it needs to be a community incentive. You can have your private property, that's fine, but can we just slow the water down so that it penetrates into our planet or penetrates
So you're
into our
saying
island?
besides the big open spaces that need that done, private people can be doing
They
that
can
as
be
well?
doing that.
Okay.
I don't know every owner all the way up
No,
to
of course.
up to haiku or whatever, but I think they took a bunch of those down. They used to be rock barriers when they burnt the cane. Those were their segments they would burn each time, and those rocks were just ones when they were farming to pull out of the field, and they just stacked them up and made lines.
Right.
Somehow those are all gone. I walked that hillside. They're not there anymore. I don't know where those rocks went.
They got assimilated or taken away.
I think they got taken
So
away.
water
and-
runs more freely.
Yeah, and I think people just forgot that when you're farming the land, if you look at Mogadishu, places in Peru, you see beautiful. You look at Thailand, the hillsides are beautifully landscaped. You go into the Napa Valley and you see these beautiful vineyards that are stair-stepped across the hills.
Yeah.
Our
I agree.
yeah.
Like you say, we all have known this all this time.
Yeah,
but
we have
don't see
plenty of
action.
rocks. Anybody that's lived here very long knows we have plenty of rocks. We have plenty of rain. Okay. We just need to get together and pile some rocks all together along a hillside, and just frame the slope, do some water encatchments, and if you just keep doing that over the next 100 years, you'll have these beautiful tall walls, because every time you put new rock, and these beautiful farmable producing plots that could be a hectare or better,
Well, I
Yeah.
like that idea.
Yeah, we did that on Lahaina Family Farms. Tim's farm, the
did
farm that I ran there. Yeah, Goodfellows Terrace, that entire property, that 80 acres. It's pretty much all terrace until it got too steep. And then we ran into the increase in permit system and all of that. And that's where I got my education, is trying to do that, running that farm for Lahaina Family Farms, and running into all of these amazing obstacles that are just seem no-brainers.
Are they still around?
The farm is there.
No, I
well,
meant
well,
the
no.
obstacles.
The obstacle. Well, they quit letting you take water
What
off
happened to that land?
Yeah, there's no water. They took the water. So any water that flows on the west side cannot be impeded upon for private use. So put the well in.
So how come there's one thing over there like that, and yet Maui Pono has all the control of the water on the other side?
Yeah,
How'd that happen?
it would surprise me, and I found this out, 10 years ago, how little water the hotels and stuff use comparatively to the growers and such. So hotel complexes and all of that on the west side use less than 10%. And the rest, a lot of it is just let go, and they don't have a great capturement procedure. We were growing a crop on Lahaina Family Farms called, oh Lord, don't get old. but it's what the Egyptians used on the Nile to hold back the banks, and we were doing our terracing using vetiver.
They use that on this side too.
Yeah,
Vetiver.
that vetiver lines, and that will just, without even using rocks, you can prep vetiver, and when the water, and the better it gets, and the more terracing you have, it's great for the land.
See that they know it in the west side. They know it in the Central Valley. When you see,
Yeah.
Bobby Pahia has these farmers on his property that
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
leasing, right? They all use vetiver for breaks between
Right.
stuff.
And they
So
use- and-
if
and-
we know this, why is, like you say, why
Yeah.
isn't it being
And the
done more
Pacific Whale
widely?
Foundation.
When we know if we don't do it, we're going to have another flood soon. Another
Right.
Flood soon.
And on the west side, below all the coffee and all over there, they have vetiver rows that basically you can treat sewer with vetiver and turn it into drinking water. It's that good that when you have poisonous water running through vetiver fields, they get cleansed. They've been using them in Vietnam and Asia forever. It's like, We've forgotten way too many things.
So what's the secret? We have more, isn't that interesting? We have more resources available to us than ever before, but we've forgotten the things that it's so much clutter
Yeah.
with information
Right.
that we forget the things that help
And
us
I
to
think
survive.
what we need to remember is when somebody raises their hand and says, "I have a solution, let's do this," don't attack them, listen to them, because I think people with
We hear that.
people with good intentions and good means and probably some sound scientific things get beat the hell out of, and they're the messenger. They have a knowledge of something. They don't want to get in front of a hot issue that, the environmentalists say, "Oh, we have to leave that land naked, not touch it." And then there's groups that water catchment is illegal in some states now. You can't trap any free running waters. I mean, you would kill half the people on the other end of the island for that, because they're all using catchment.
Can you imagine we have 1 minute and 16 seconds
I know.
left? In that precious time, I want to.
And I got to bring my sister
thank you,
online
Scott.
today.
That's
That
right.
was fun. You met my big sister.
That's right. I
Yeah.
saw her face.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming in. I hope that you will stand in for me. I know I've been.
Yeah,
pretty busy.
my
Haven't
friend
called
Greg's
in a
coming
while.
back on island for a couple weeks,
Oh, good. And I'm gonna put that
and you've
show
got to
that
put
you
that
gave me.
show on I
I'll
gave
put that
you.
up there now.
Greg and I had so much fun that day.
Well, we're going to do that again soon. I'm going to have.
Yeah,
you
he'll
for
be
a
here for a
question.
couple weeks in August.
You'll tell me when, so I'll be able to try to fit
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
to another show. We have 40 seconds, so everyone out there in radio and TV land, internet land, MauiNeutralZone.com.
AlohaSwimLessons.com.
AlohaSwimLessons.com. Scott R. Bushnell. It's always a pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you,
very,
Jason. It's
very
always
much.
fun. I didn't get to light you up today.
Yes, you did. You always light me up. And you do it, and then you know you did it, and then you sort of sneak back in. Bye, everyone. We're going to leave you. Thank you for joining us today, everyone.
Aloha. Come visit Maui.
Aloha.
Welcome to MauiCoastProperty.com. This visor is our latest innovation. It gives you a whole new view of the future. Experience it now.